that idea still did organize something in the Western thinking until the point where today I think we all share something of this idea, even if we are not sharing nothing from Christianity. And then I could say that gives for me two further possibilities. One is to think of the community not as a totality in which the people would have to share a common being, that is a common position, a common body, if you want. Body taken as in the sense of an organized whole, an organized entity. The body of, I would say, of a politics thought as an organicity, but to think of community as the being in common, having to share precisely the impossibility. In a certain extent, the impossibility of being in common. I would say the community of love is a community having to share the absence of common being, not the absence of being in common, but the absence of common being. There is no common property. And that is what we have to share. So I said that was first and second. Yes, second. There is then a way from there to understand what Christianity did mean with this love, which is at the same time, as you know, the love of the prochain. How you say that?
And we say the neighbor. It's
the neighbor
in English.
Yes, it's
next,
little.
In German, it's better. In Spanish, it's better, right? The proximo. But in English, we're stuck with the neighbor.
You're stuck with the neighbor.
Love thy neighbor. It's a big problem.
Mm-hmm. This is what you say?
It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. Yes, I know. That's a problem. Exactly, Avital.
That's true.
Try to get away from neighbor.
But this translation with neighbor seems to me to be already a little heterodox, because you know where the meaning of the next, the prochain is a good word, because prochain is from proximus in Latin. This is a superlative of near, the nearest. Prochain is literally is the nearest,
So we sometimes say the nearest and dearest, but that's always ironic. Mm-hmm. So we're already with you.
No, but the nearest shall be the dearest. Okay, that's a command. But precisely, so the first meaning of the nearest is clear. It is exactly the neighbor, or the member of the family, or the member of the tribe, or the member of precisely the Jewish people. And the place in the gospel where the meaning of the nearest is explained. This is some Pharisee who asked to Jesus, who is my nearest, or my neighbor? And Jesus answered with the parable of the Good Samaritan. And the Samaritans are not Jews, the Samaritans are adoring or praying another god, etc. And this is a story that that a man was wounded on the side of the road, and a priest, a Jewish priest, of course, goes there and does nothing, and what's called a Levite goes and does nothing, and finally comes a Samaritan who stops and takes care of the poor man. And Jesus asked, who was the neighbor of this poor man? So that means, and that is at the core of the Christian story, that means that the neighbor is everybody without any distinction. That is, and that is something that is also at the core and in the whole structure of the Western, that is the thinking of equality and perhaps in certain extent of fraternity of all the men. Then what does that mean? Precisely if you think how it is difficult to love your neighbor, I don't know, in Manhattan perhaps, but that means, I think now, exactly that the nearest is absolutely not the nearest by any means of neighborhood, precisely, nor the nearest the place, nor the nearest by, I don't know, by taste, nor the nearest according to my desire, etc. But the nearest as everybody, in the extent everybody shares with me the same impossibility of precisely being or becoming the fixed place of a certain position. Of course, each is, I don't know, a woman, a man is blonde, is brune, is high, is small, is French, is American, is intelligent, is stupid, is strong, is weak, etc., etc. Yes. But all those properties are precisely only properties. And if love consists in giving what is no property, it consists in partaking precisely this common unproperty. Which means then that, and I will stop for now with that, which means that this love doesn't say nothing against love in the ordinary sense, but perhaps we should call that dilection, I would say, but I don't know if this word exists. This Latin half French word, no, dilection. This to prefer, you know. In French, we have the predilection. You don't have?
Yes,
yeah? There's a predilection. So one could say the love of the lovers, the ordinary love of the lovers, or the love for friends, etc., is a predilection, the preference, which is based on a distinction. This is this one I love and not this other one. But and then we could analyze how even in this predilection the love as impossible shall be present, or the predilection very quickly becomes only a kind of possession, precisely. But that would be another step. But for now, I would say it makes understandable how the impossible love consists to love without any predilection, which is and that explains how it can be commanded to love the enemy, which is the top of the absurdity. But to love the enemy will not mean that I will have a predilection for my enemy. As an enemy, I hate him and I fight him.